Hello, my dear students. Hope all of you are doing well. So, today we'll be doing chapter number 6 of your English course book, English Vibes Course Book 2. And the name of the chapter is The Food Story. So, today we'll be understanding this chapter, and in the next video, we'll be doing the reading part. So, chapter number 6, The Food Story. First of all, warm up is there. So, what do these animals eat? So, we are talking about these animals. What do they eat? Look at the picture and draw lines to match the animals to the food they eat. So, my dear kids, we need to match these animals to their food. So, first of all, what does lizard eat? You might have seen at night near the tube lights or the bulbs. What do lizard eat? It eats the insects. So you can draw a horizontal line to match this lizard to its food, that is insect. Next, what does this insect eat? Now, my dear kids, these insects, they feed on the grass. So we can draw a line matching these insects to the grass. And third is snake. So what does the snake eat? Now, as we know, this snake feeds on frog. So you can join the snake to its food, that is frog. So this was the warm up. Next, coming to the reading part of the chapter. So we all need energy to grow, run, jump and play. So my dear kids, we need energy. हमें ताकत चाहिए. Why do we need energy? To grow up, to run, to jump and to play. So we get the power to do these things from the food we eat. So from where do we get the power? We get the power from the food we eat. हमें ताकत कहाँ से मिलती है? From the food we eat. And that is why when we are hungry, we feel weak. So this is the reason when we are hungry, जब हमें भूख लगी होती है, we feel weak. We lack energy. So hunger tells us that we have run out of food. Now hunger, it tells us that we need some food. We have run out of food. And there is no energy left to do our activities. So my dear kids, when we are hungry, we don't eat food, we lack energy and we are unable to do our daily activities. So animals around us also need food to play, hunt and move around. So similarly, beta, as we need food to get energy to do our activities, in the same way, animals around us, they also need to eat food. Why? To do their activities, that is to play, to hunt and to move around. Hunt means that we call shikar karna in Hindi. So when an animal, it needs to feed upon another animal, it has to hunt or kill that animal. For example, this tiger, when it has to eat this deer, it will hunt the deer, it will kill the deer and finally eat it. So the animals, they need to energy to play, to hunt and to move around. But not all the animals eat the same thing. But all these animals don't eat the same thing. They eat different things. Now some animals, they feed upon grass, whereas other animals, they eat the animals itself. So the animals, they eat different things. They don't eat the same things. Look at the food chain here. So here you can look at the food chain. So this is like here you can see the grass over here, trees you can see over here. So these trees or the grass you see in the picture, this deer eats the grass and this tiger, it eats the deer. So this is a food chain. So my dear kids, in other words, we can say that a process of one organism eating the other and in turn being eaten by the other is known as food chain. That is, अगर एक organism है, एक animal है, वो क्या खाता है और उसको in turn कौन खाता है? If we study about this chain, that chain is known as food chain. Now, A food chain tells us who eats whom. So, what does food chain tell us? That who is eating whom? Which organism is being eaten by which other organism? So, all food chains start with the sun and plants. So, my dear kids, all the food chains they basically start with the sun and the plants because the plants they get energy from sunlight. Plants use sunlight to grow, and some animals eat plants to get energy. Some animals eat other animals. Now these plants they use the sunlight to grow and to carry on photosynthesis to make their food, or simply you can say to grow they need sunlight. So some animals eat plants to get energy. So these plants are in turn being eaten by the animals. So some animals eat other animals. So these animals are further being eaten by other animals. Grass gets its energy from the sun, and a deer eats grass and the tiger eats the deer. This is an example of a food chain. So as we have seen over here, this grass is being eaten by the deer and the deer is being eaten by the tiger. So here you can see this grass it uses the energy from the sunlight to grow, and this grass is being eaten by the deer and the deer is being eaten by the tiger. So this entire thing is a food chain. Now look at the picture of another food chain. Now you can look at this picture of another food chain. So here you can see the plants, or you can see the grass, and the grass is being eaten by the snail. So you can say snail or you can say an insect. So all the insects they feed upon the grass, and these insects are in turn being eaten by the lizard, and the lizard is in turn being eaten by the owl. So this is another food chain. So a number of food chains are operating in nature. When our water gets polluted or our forests are cut down, so my dear kids, when the water gets polluted, or you can say when the water becomes dirty or unsafe to drink, and when our forests are cut down, or you can say when the trees or a natural vegetation and the plants they are cut down, the food chain are in trouble. The food chains are in trouble. Now you can see, for example, the grass is there. If all the grass and the plants they are removed from nature, now what will the snail eat? And what will other insects eat? They'll be depleted of the food, and in absence of food, they'll be hungry and eventually they will die because they will not get any food. Next, if all these insects die, then this lizard and the other organisms which are feeding on the insects, they will also not get food, and finally they will also die. And if all these lizards die, then again this owl will also not be getting any food, and hence this owl will also die. So we can say that if we remove all the plants from the nature, then the entire food chain will be disturbed, it will be in problem, and many organisms they will die. So again I'll come back to the reading. It means a whole lot of insects and animals can go without food and finally even die in large numbers and disappear. So large number of insects and animals go without food means they'll not get any food to eat, and finally they will die in large numbers, because if the plants are not there, all the insects they will die. So large number of insects will be dying. So then all the organisms that are feeding on the insects, so all these organisms will not get food, and hence they'll also die in large numbers. And then all the organisms that are feeding on these organisms which are eating the insects, so all these organisms will also die and disappear. Disappear means to no longer exist or to vanish, और जिसे हम हिंदी में कहते हैं गायब हो जाना. So that way these organisms will die and disappear in large numbers. So it is important for us to know about food chains to keep our plants and animals safe. So, my dear kids, it becomes very important for us to know about these food chains so that we can keep our plants and animals safe. So, this was all about the chapter Food Story. Hope you have understood the entire thing of the chapter. And in the next video, we'll be doing the reading part of this chapter. So, my dear kids, uh, don't forget to subscribe the channel for getting more such videos. So, thank you and bye bye.